Hello, and welcome to a brand new series on this channel. This will be called Detox's Comfort Albums, and as the name suggests, these are albums that are a comfort to me in one way or another, whether it be something I just really like listening to and it makes me feel happy, or it's an album that's a favorite of mine that's been around forever. So we'll just jump right into it. I don't have a set format for how I'm going to do this. That may change as further episodes come out, but as for right now, I'm just gonna wing it and just go off the cuff and talk about an album that means something to me. So the first episode, it wasn't going to be any other album than this. Marilyn Manson's Mechanical Animals. This was a major turning point for me as far as my musical taste went. A little bit of a backstory. When I was younger, I mostly had friends who were into pop and rap music. So, any music that I was exposed to was stuff that was like top 40 or maybe slightly lesser known than that. But it was usually within the mainstream spectrum of pop and rap music. I had been exposed to almost no rock music whatsoever, definitely no metal music. And so that was all I knew until about the age of 13. 13 was when I started to switch over because I realized I was hearing the same songs every day, multiple times a day, and that was what radio was. And I was like, you know what, there's got to be something else. I like music, but this isn't working. So I started messing around, and I would listen to the alternative rock radio stations that they had on at the time. And I would hear bits and pieces of things, and I'd go, this sounds alright. And I got in really light. I would listen to, I had the first Smash Mouth album, which I actually still like. It's good. I was exposed to pop rock bands like Fastball, Chumbawamba, Savage Garden, that sort of stuff. And then in 1998, that was my first year of high school, and right around that time was when The Dope Show hit radio. And I remember seeing the video for it on TRL at the time, and I was like, what is this? I'd heard the name Marilyn Manson, obviously. It's almost impossible to escape the name, especially at that period of time. So I knew the name, and I knew some sort of stigma that went along with him. But yeah, so I remember seeing the video for The Dope Show, and I remember hearing it on the radio, and at first I was like, I don't know about this. I don't think this is stuff I'm supposed to be listening to, because at the time I'm 14. I don't fucking know. And but over time, maybe 5 or so times I've heard the song, I was like, you know what? I think this is really catchy. The video's a little weird, but I think the song's really catchy. So I recorded it off radio onto cassette tapes, as one did at the time. And that was something I regularly listened to. And that was around the same time I first heard Rob Zombie and White Zombie, and Monster Magnet, and I think I probably heard Nine Inch Nails around the same time as well, but they took me a little longer to get into. And but yeah, I was exposed to Marilyn Manson through The Dope Show. So after regularly listening to The Dope Show for a while, the next single came out, which was Rock is Dead, which was for the Matrix soundtrack. And so I saw this, and I saw the video for that, and I was like, what is this? It's so much darker than The Dope Show. This is crazy stuff. And so I got really into Rock is Dead. And then the third single was I Don't Like the Drugs, But the Drugs Like Me. That video got a lot less radio play and video play. Radio play was probably hampered by the fact that it almost had like of the singles, that was like the glammiest almost, and it had like almost a disco feel to certain parts of it. So like certain rock radio stations was like, we're not gonna have this, we'll just play the other two singles. And they would do the same thing for Coma White, but for different reasons. And so at this time, like, I now have 3 singles that I've heard, although I never ended up getting to record I Don't Like the Drugs, But the Drugs Like Me because of how few times it was played on radio, so I could never catch it. So at the time I had a paper route, so I saved up a bunch of my little earnings, and at the time I had like 14. I got a bike. My mom doesn't want me to listen to Marilyn Manson because he's evil, he's a bad man. And so I take my bike and I ride all the way across town, which was probably an hour bike ride. And I go to the one record store we have in town. I find the cassette tape for Mechanical Animals, because all I have is a cassette player. I do have a stereo, but I mean, I want to walk around with this thing, and I have a Walkman. So, thankfully, they didn't try and, like, ID me or anything like that, or say you can't get this because of age restrictions, because they could do that back then. And I paid in, like, single dollar bills and, like, change, and I bought Mechanical Animals. And at the time, I hadn't really gotten used to listening to albums all the way through. Like, as I said, I had the Smash Mouth album, and that was probably one of the only albums I would listen to all the way through. Like, there were a couple songs on there I didn't really care for, but I would go start to finish, and maybe I would skip something in between. But I did that with that album. But I had a bunch of pop and rap albums, and I would just exclusively listen to the singles. And the Fastball album, I think I tried listening to a couple other songs that weren't the 3 singles, and I really wasn't into them very much. But this was different. This, I got it so I could listen to The Dope Show and Rock is Dead, and finally regularly listen to I Don't Like the Drugs. But then immediately you're hit with Great Big White World, and then after Dope Show's Mechanical Animals, and then it took me a little while to get acclimated to the ballads. I wasn't at that point in my life, like, ballads didn't work on me yet. I remember hearing Iris from Goo Goo Dolls on the radio and going, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Now I like it. But at the time, like, there was just something so inherently, like, I didn't want to hear ballads at all. Like, acoustic instrumentation. I'm like, blah, don't like this. So, unfortunately, at first, songs like Disassociative and Speed of Pain, like, I would just skip those. And then I would go to Posthuman, which was rockier and closer to, like, Rock is Dead. And then I would do Wanna Disappear, Don't Like the Drugs, User Friendly, and then I would skip Fundamentally Loathsome and Last Day on Earth. And I really didn't like Coma White that much at first either. So now I had an album, and I was starting to become exposed to Marilyn Manson, and I started to meet people who were also fans of his, who most of them hated Mechanical Animals and were like, you don't even know what's up. He had this album called Antichrist Superstar, and he had this other album called Portrait of an American Family, and they're amazing. And now his new stuff is like, he's gone pussy, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. So, like, and those will probably come up at another time because I really like those 2 albums too. But so at the time, like, I'm first getting into his music. I'm being told that while it's being successful at radio and TV, the people who were fans are really against this album, and they don't like that he's gone like pop. And this was probably the first example in my life of being around fan backlash towards an artist, because, I mean, I haven't been exposed to that many at this point. So this was new to me. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know that a band could change and then all their fan base would cry foul and stick their nose up at it. Like, I didn't know. So anyways, like, this became a regular staple for years, and then I would start listening to other music, obviously, and I would start listening to more of Manson's albums. And as time would go on, regardless of all the new bands I got into, regardless of all the new genres I dug into, my style changes and stuff like that, even if I didn't listen to it regularly, Mechanical Animals was an album that was always present, like in my spectrum of music listening somewhere. Mechanical Animals was there in some shape or form. And as time has gone on, I know a number of people I know have completely moved on from Manson, and I know that there are certain stigmas about him right now, and none of which I'm going to get into in this video. But this album meant, like, and as I get older, this album means more and more to me. Like, this is just an album I don't think I'll ever be tired of. It's always going to be something I want to listen to. Maybe not all the time, but there's always going to be at least songs on this album that I want to listen to. So we'll just go through it. Great Big White World is an amazing album opener. The effects, the delay effects, and all the other things he uses on his guitar to get that echo, and it's so smooth sounding. All the vocals, like, I know they're like cut up and Pro Tooled to shit. I don't care. Everything on this track sounds amazing. Like, start to finish, I love Great Big White World. And at the time, I had no idea what these songs are about. I'm 14. What do I know about drugs? I didn't smoke weed until I was 26. So I don't know shit. And I still don't fully understand what most of his lyrics are talking about, but I still like them. They engage me. But yeah, Great Big White World, smooth start to finish, beautiful song. It's one of the softer songs on the album, but not obviously not the softest. It's probably, if I was to rate them, if maybe fifth softest. So yeah, Great Big White World, A+ opener. Love the song. The Dope Show, which I've already mentioned, really catchy song. Do I listen to it as much as I used to? Not at all. But it's still really, really catchy. The hooks in the song are really good. When it goes from the electronic verses until to the punchy, guitar-heavy choruses, love it. Yeah, everything about this song's really good. It's also weird in the fact that the verses aren't really guitar-centric. They're more bass-centric. It's all about, there's like a pocket groove that he's got going on. It seems to all be about being basically the flavor of the moment and being sucked dry and then discarded. Like, that's what the Dope Show, to me, lyrically, that's what I associate with it. If that's exactly on the nose, I don't 100% know, but that's what I get out of it, and that's how I feel it. And I obviously, without like the drug allegories, that like I don't have a strong connection to it. Like, you have to, which it's the same for most bands. If you want to connect to the lyrics, you have to shift them to something that works for you. So you being taken in and then used up and discarded by like people you know and stuff like that. So that's how I connect to it. Yeah, Dope Show, super catchy, great single. And it's followed up by the title track, Mechanical Animals, which is another really good, smooth track that's a little harder hitting than the first two songs. It's the hardest he got at this point. And this one also talks about suicide at certain parts of the song. Almost everything on this album is super melancholy. If there's not drug references, it's just sadness or death and stuff like that. But yeah, Mechanical Animals, great song. There's a live version of it on Return of the Rock Volume 2, which was a compilation that MTV put out. It was mostly known for exposing a bunch of new metal bands, but there was this live version on the second volume, which was really good. Dope Show as well was played, I believe, at the VMAs that year, and he came out with his butt exposed, and it was hilarious. It's funny things. Manson does that. He likes showing his butt. So yeah, after this was another song I've already mentioned, which was Rock is Dead. It was on the Matrix soundtrack. Ridiculously catchy. That riff, fucking love that. It's great. And I know John 5, who's in all the promo stuff for all the videos for this and all the promo stuff, I know he didn't write the riffs to this album, but watching like live video of him playing these songs, he nailed them probably better than Zim Zum would have done live. But yeah, Rock is Dead. It's hard hitting, it's punchy, it's the crazy electronics. Love that shit. And even the chorus is just na 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 na. It's simple as shit. Great. But yeah, this was, without knowing it at the time, this was the closest I had probably heard to an industrial rock song. And this was a good starting point for me trying to figure out, okay, what songs sound like this? I love this. This is exactly what I want. And so yeah, this was a good song that led me to really sticking to bands like Nine Inch Nails, like Stabbing Westward, Gravity Kills, Sister Machine Gun, Machines of Loving Grace, Chem Lab, 16 Volt, bands like that. Rock is Dead was probably the starting point for why I started to check out songs like that, or why, like, when I heard those songs, like, it was like magnetized and I was in. I can do the next two songs kind of clumped together. Both are absolutely beautiful. Disassociative and The Speed of Pain. I had mentioned earlier that when I first heard the album, I didn't like ballads, so these didn't do anything for me at the time. As time has gone on, these have become two of my favorite songs on this record and in Manson's catalog as a whole. The visualization of the lyrics in Disassociative, from talking about a dead astronaut in space floating around in fear, I love this song to death. It's so good, and the instrumentation is so good, like on point, beautifully done ballad with a punchy chorus. And yeah, like, I can't say enough good things about this song, and I can't say enough good things about The Speed of Pain. When You Want It goes away too fast. Times You Hate It always seems to last, which I assume is a drug reference, but it can be used in a bunch of other things too. So yeah, it's awesome. Both songs really good. Both songs beautifully done. The female backing vocals in Speed of Pain, excellent. I know he does that a couple of times on the album. He does that there, and he does it in I Don't Like the Drugs, and I believe he does it, he might even do it in Dope Show. I know he does it in the live version of Dope Show. I'm not remembering off the top of my head if it's actually in the studio version of Dope Show. It might not be. but it's definitely in the other two songs. So, yeah, Disassociative, Speed of Pain, excellent. Like, there's been nothing bad so far at all. And in fact, there's only one song on this album that I'm not the biggest fan of. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Posthuman. This is the end of the first half of the cassette tape for those old people. Yeah, so Posthuman is basically in the same style as Rock is Dead. A little harder at times, and also a bit more electronic at times. It's also probably... yeah, I would say it's probably the fastest song on the album. Like lots of looping and stuff like that as far as the drums go. Lots of synth stuff, and the God is just a statistic line. And yeah, Posthuman, really good. Comes off the heels of Rock is Dead, so it's another harder hitting song. And there's not much to say about it. Another really, really good song. The next song was I Want to Disappear, which is another super catchy song. Like, there's gonna be a common theme here of everything on this album, even the one I don't like. Everything is super catchy. Everything is meticulously crafted. This was basically Marilyn Manson's, before he did it, The Fragile. Like, it's meticulously done. Everything is super catchy. Everything's full of hooks. It's smooth. It's a wonderful time. I don't like The Drugs, but The Drugs Like Me, the third single I had mentioned. This one, at first I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but it is arguably the catchiest of all the singles. Like, it is got such a groove. Dave Navarro even does a guitar solo in this song, and it's awesome. The video's super weird. He gets his arm cut off at some point, and then he falls into the shape of being crucified, but he's TVs, and at the beginning of the video, he's tied to TVs, I think, and there's faceless, or no, maybe they're headless people chasing him. Yeah, I don't know. This video's weird. But the song is super catchy, and the hook of I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me. Like, and he constantly doing the Norm Life Baby thing, and it's such. If there's anything on this album that was built as like kind of like a pop song, in the way it's like it sounds, it's this song, and it's so goddamn good. The one after this is the one I don't really like very much. New Model number 15. I guess it's fine in the grand scheme of things. It was just the one song that I kind of got tired of hearing. I'm a new model. I can suck it and smile. This one just didn't work for me. It also has clapping, which I don't like clappers. But yeah, this was like the one song that just really didn't stick with me. Usually now, if I listen to this album, this song always gets skipped. I don't know. There's something about it that just rubs me the wrong way. User-friendly. Really good song. Lyrical content may be a little questionable, but I don't know, I've always kind of liked the line, I'm not in love, but I'm gonna fuck you till somebody better comes along. It's not a good stance, but there's something about it that I like. And of all the songs on this record, this along with New Model are probably the most sexual, like, throughout. And I don't know, maybe probably as like a 14-year-old who was nowhere near sex at the time, this fascinated me, because I was like, sex with girls? Yeah, crazy shit, huh? But yeah, so this song's really good, and musically it's really good too. It almost has like until the chorus hits, when it gets hard, it's very electronic vibed. Like almost like it's trying to think of how to. It's almost like stuttered the way the electronics are used in it, and it works so well with the programmed drums and his vocal style for this track. Wonderful. Fundamentally Loathsome. The piano ballad that turns into a crazy like almost rock opera guitar solo section leading into the end of like this song is a tale of two halves, and both halves are awesome. The first part is the piano part, and just softly sung ballad, and then when it picks up and the pace quickens, and the guitar solo comes in, and it's just like it's amped up. The drums go a little crazier. It's so good, start to finish. Another song on this record that's just wonderful. The next song, and second to last song on the album, this song is okay, but the reason I do really like this song is because there's a version on the Last Tour on Earth live album of this song that they do acoustically, and it is so much better. There's so much more raw emotion on that version of the song than this version. This version kind of falls a little flat. It goes with the theme of the album, whereas it's very electronic, and it's got this very thin distorted guitar like segment, and but the live version where it's acoustic and his vocals just sound raw and he sounds like it's painful, it is so good. I think it starts with "Yesterday was a million years ago. In every life I've played an asshole. Now I found you, it's almost too late." But I'm trying to think of what the chorus is. "I know it's the last day on Earth. We'll be together while our planet dies. I know it's the last day on Earth. We'll never say goodbye. And then, I hope that we die holding hands." I love this song so much, but it's really because of that version. It's like if you listen to any soft Manson song from this record, if you're not going to listen to Disassociative, listen to the live version of this one. It is so good. And the last song on the proper album, Coma White, one of my favorite Manson songs. It's so good. It is such a catchy, I dare say, power ballad. Like, it's so good. The video's really cool too. The video kind of has it kind of plays off the JFK assassination stuff. And it's the one time I believe that Rose McGowan, who he was dating at the time, was in one of his videos, because she wasn't in the other three. Unless she was in I Don't Like the Drugs, but I don't remember. I know she wasn't in The Dope Show, and I know she wasn't in Rock is Dead. But yeah, so good. A pill to make you numb, a pill to make you dumb, pill to make you anybody else. All the drugs in this world can't save her from herself. Love it. But yeah, wonderful song. Got a cool guitar solo too. And it's one of those perfectly simplistic songs that just works so well, from the most important part to the least important part. This song is a perfect closer. Like, whereas Great Big White World was a perfect opener to this record, Coma White is a perfect closer to this record. And that is Mechanical Animals. There were a couple other songs that he recorded around this time that were used in different ways. If you put the album into your computer, it would show some of the paintings he had done at the time. It would also play this song that I don't think ever had a name. It's just listed as Untitled in my my album folder, but it's this weird electronic thing with heavily affected vocals, and it's kind of cool. But it's nothing super spectacular. It's just a thing. It's almost like an art piece of music. He did a cover of David Bowie's Golden Years, which is okay. And he did it for the Dead Man on Campus soundtrack. If you've never seen that movie, that's perfectly fine. It was okay, and it wasn't very popular. He did a song called Get My Rocks Off, which I believe is a cover, and I couldn't tell you who did the original. And it's okay, and I don't remember what he did it for. I know it was released on something. It might have even been a bonus disc for something. Maybe it was a bonus disc for the Last Tour on Earth album. Actually, you know what? It might have been, because I'm pretty sure that's where A Rose and a Baby Ruth is from. Which also is... Actually, A Rose and a Baby Ruth is probably the worst song that he did during this period. And I'm including the Untitled thing. And I'm including New Model. This was the worst song. It's also a cover, but it sounds like a 40s pop song. And... yeah, it's whatever. However, the best B-side, he did for the Celebrity Deathmatch soundtrack, and there's even a video for it. And it also came out as a studio version on the Last Tour on Earth live album. It's called Astonishing Panorama of the End Times. It is fast. It is hard-hitting. If those guitar parts are real and not programmed, they are batshit crazy. Like, they're all over the place. It also works as being topical and controversial at the same time, whereas the chorus is a repeated "kill your God, kill your God, kill your TV," basically talking about the couch potato generation and how a lot of people have become mindless zombies just sitting in front of their television, because that's changed. And so yeah, those are the extra songs. He also did a live version of Rock is Dead for the European Video Music Awards, where he dressed head to toe. I think he just wore like a Speedo, and then covered himself in black paint and wore a cowboy hat, and I vaguely remember a pig being there. And yeah, that was that. And the only other thing I can think of that came out around this time was he did an acoustic version of Coma White that was on the single for Dope Show, I think. One of the singles had an acoustic version of Coma White. Honestly, it could have even been the promo single for Coma White itself. But yeah, that is the individual points of Mechanical Animals. And as I said before, this album, I constantly go back to it. For all you music tracking nerds, on my Last FM, this is easily the most listened to album I've got. Like, listen to it all the time. And yeah, even if it's just one or two songs, I usually hear something from it once a week. And yeah, and that's Mechanical Animals. It's a wonderful record. regardless of what your stigma is towards Marilyn Manson, if there was ever something you were going to check out, this album is it. Unless you want something hyper aggressive, then do Antichrist Superstar. But if you want something smooth, catchy, and electronic-ish, do Mechanical Animals. It's a really good time. So I don't know what the next episodes of this series are going to bring. I have talked to a couple people and floated the idea that I would love to do guests for this. I would love to basically be a loose interviewer and have people come on and talk about albums that are really important to them. So if you're a regular watcher of this channel and that's something you want to do and your recording equipment is okay, talk to me and we'll see what's up. But yeah, I have a few other people who I know are interested in doing it, and I'll talk to them about it and figure out what's what time, and we'll see how this series goes on. I don't know how regular it's going to be. I don't know if this is going to be the only ever episode because I lose interest. Probably not, but you never know. And yeah, so that's episode 1. If you stuck it all the way to here, thank you so much for watching.